Welcome to Dying to Know, where we open up about everything that comes with losing a loved one.
Because the only thing that's worse than death is not being able to talk about it.
We're your Bereavement Babes, Leah and Rachel, and today we're talking stages of grief. Hey girl.
Hi Leah.
It's season 2.
Welcome back.
Yes, it's been 4 months for us.
4 months.
Yes. We took a little hiatus.
And now we're back.
Yes. What were you up to? Tell the people where you were, what happened, what'd you like, what'd you see?
Over break, I did a lot of me stuff. I went to Europe finally. I did this
Yes.
amazing Greece retreat. So a lot of self-care, a lot of self-love. And then I came back for the holidays to just stay at home and be chill, which was really nice.
Nice.
What about you?
Well, you left me here while you were in your European vacation. So my usual, twerking and working. And then for the holidays too, it was pretty quiet. Went back home, saw family and friends, and it was a good time.
Yes, back to Baltimore for a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So season 2 is here. We've done a lot of work to get here to these seats.
I know, a lot of researching and getting ready for the new season, new theme.
Yes, a lot of meetings, me not actively listening, and you all repeating yourself to me, but it's all good.
It's okay.
So what's this month that we're in, Rachel?
It is Black History Month.
Yes,
Happy Black History Month, Leah.
Thank you for remembering.
Of course.
Happy Black History Month, everyone. So for season 2, we kind of did, I guess, a overarching theme. So
yes,
season
still
1,
grief,
yes,
still death.
Yeah, but season 1 was kind of a little scattered with some topics, but I feel like this one we're trying to make it flow episode to episode.
Yes,
to
give
listen.
a nice little life to each couple episodes.
So we started. We figured we'd start with the stages of grief. That seems pretty common. A lot of people hear about it. Highly requested. Even though I did fight against it for a minute.
You did, but we're here.
But we're here. And
maybe it was your bargaining. It was your bargaining stage.
Maybe it was, but we're gonna give the people what they want.
Yes.
All right. So let's start off with some definitions here because.
Yes, walk us through these stages.
Yes, because we have 5 and then there's also 7 stages.
5 and there's a lot depending where you look or who you really look to. I feel like I gravitated 5 was the stronger one that I was seeing, and I feel like it felt the most familiar to me. I don't know if you feel the same with 5.
I think so, but also we talked about the 7 stages prior, and it feels muddy, depending on what you were looking at.
It wasn't always very solid when it came to 7.
Exactly, and then a lot of times I saw a list where it was 2 words together, this and this.
Yeah, where I was
so cheating. 7 was getting a little long. I'm then it's not really 7, but anywho, we'll start with the 5 that all of us know. So there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So definition for each. So denial is a noun. It's the action of declaring something to be untrue. Then there's anger. It's a noun, a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Then we have bargaining, which is a verb, our only verb, negotiating the terms and conditions of a transaction. But I feel the more grief definition of that is making deals with yourself, God, or a higher power to help yourself feel better. Mm-hmm. Depression, a noun, a state of feeling sad, low spirit, or melancholy. And then we have, last but not least, acceptance, which is a noun, the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. So how do you feel about those?
I feel like I definitely hit all of those, especially going through my experience. Okay. I think it's pretty on par. I feel like it's very similar things to what you go through. I think I've learned that it's not a linear thing. Mm-hmm. These aren't the stages, and this isn't what happens for a second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Exactly.
These stages are what you're going to experience in some type of form, and it's going to happen any which way, any time of the year. It might not happen for a while. It might not happen right away or all at once, or it might happen all at once. So I feel I recognize a lot of these, especially in researching, especially when it came to the meanings. How did you feel?
I think I would have to agree too. I don't know. I just feel maybe it's a little dated.
Interesting.
I do feel I identify with with maybe all of the stages. I think maybe I miss bargaining. I can't remember a time where it happened, but I'll sleep on it. But I think denial is probably one of the most common, and definitely depression.
That's interesting because I feel denial was one that I wasn't really resonating with. And then as doing research in it, I came across a YouTube video that I cannot remember who it was from. Okay. But they were saying once you kind of are starting to know that your loved one is going to pass, you can experience these stages before death. which I thought was really interesting.
Believe that,
where I felt like bargaining, like praying a lot and asking God for a lot of favors was like a stage that might have happened before death. And like the denial stage is like not feeling like this is going to happen. Like I feel like denial for me also happened a little bit before, where I was like, I always thought stages of grief would happen after death. So I was like, I knew what happened. I was never in denial. So I feel like that is where I was confused about denial.
Yeah. I can feel that. I mean, but like also with doing the work that we're doing here, I realized that like grief also doesn't always align to death. It could relate to other things in your life. So that's where I'm like, okay, I can see that like someone having this conversation with themselves or like feeling like they're already in a stage prior to someone dying does make a lot of sense. So I guess I didn't think of that way. I think when I first read bargaining, all I could think about was like, when you get too drunk and then the next day you're like, I'm never drinking again. Or if I could get past this hangover, I couldn't correlate it to like death. But I feel like the more and more we talk through grief, maybe it'll like pop up. But I feel like it helps people give their own like definition to it or like understanding of what they might be going through. But I don't know. I feel like I'm still kind of on the fence about the stages.
I think, and maybe it's like a personality thing too. I think it also helped give like something to better understand what I was going through too at the time, where I was like, okay, like I am supposed to be feeling like this, or okay, like this isn't like a crazy thing. Like it is okay to be like this sad. And like I felt like I needed something extra to better understand like what I was going through. So I feel like that's where it helped to see like, okay, like there is a little bit of explanation of like what happens after someone passes away.
That's true. And then we also have the 7 stages, which like we can't deny, we need to share those. But like I feel like a lot of them were basically the same as 5.
Yeah, except like a little extra.
They just put a little sauce on the other ones. So I can't remember where I got this list from, but for the 7 stages, they had shock, which was one that we didn't talk about in the 5. So that's a noun. It's a sudden, upsetting, or surprising event or experience, which is kind of like, well, duh. Yeah, that seems to be really aligned. Then you also have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But this list put acceptance and hope together.
I did see the hope.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know if that's being a Debbie Downer, but I'm like, why is there a positive change?
Which is funny because before like looking into this and I heard acceptance or saw it, I always thought like, oh, that must be the end stage. Like that's the happy part. But I did read somewhere where it was like, it doesn't mean that you're happy or like you forgot about it. It just means that more good days are ahead of you and bad ones are behind you. So I thought that was good. Like, because you can always retreat back to depression or anything else. But it's good to know that like, a part of acceptance is kind of just like receiving what really took place in your life.
No, 100%.
Yeah, so I thought I
guess it is then nice to like be like, okay, acceptance and then hope.
Yeah, that's true. And then this list also put reconstruction and working through, which seems so abstract. It says you can begin to put pieces of your life back together and move forward, which I feel like already goes with acceptance and hope. Yeah. So I feel like the 7 stages is a little bit of just like,
I guess again, maybe it is giving people like a better understanding or of like giving you a learning section of like, okay, I've accepted it. Like now it's maybe time to like start rebuilding. And like you need to kind of like, for me, I was very checklist oriented as you guys learned last season. So I felt like to see like, okay, this is reconstruction time. Like I understand what my life is going through. Or even, I know we'll get into acceptance more in later episodes, but for me, acceptance was like, okay, this is my new life. Like the next thing was like, I know I need to go to therapy, which I would put under, I guess, reconstruction.
Maybe.
Because I'm trying to like reconstruct my fat self.
That is true. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Maybe reconstruction.
Maybe they got it right with 7.
Maybe they did. I don't know. It just still feels like, I don't know, a little off for me. But like with us structuring season 2 a little differently and the information that we collected about like the overarching topic of grief, like what do you want our listeners and viewers to get out of this?
I think, which I actually heard Jay Shetty talk about when he read a book about grief, he was just like, this was great because I feel like I better understand my friends, which I thought was really beautiful.
That's so nice.
Where like I feel like season 1, I was like better learning about myself and I was better learning about like my friend, like you, like right here. But I think I would love for the viewers to be able to see this and also like obviously like self-love and getting to know themselves and how they're dealing with grief. But I think it's nice to have a tool to better understand what everyone around you is going through.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Where I think, I was like, oh my God. And it was just like such a mind-blowing thing because like, especially at our age, I feel like it's becoming more and more of a thing where your friend is telling you about a loved one that's passed and you don't really know like how to act or what the right things to say, no matter how similar the experience is.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice to have these tools to like really be like, okay, like this could be great for everyone to kind of learn whether you've experienced it or not in your life.
Oh, that's great. I want to steal your answer, but I can't. I want that too. I want everyone to feel that too. I ditto that. But also people who are grieving, I want them to be able to like define.
We didn't forget about you guys.
Yeah, we didn't forget about them. But I want them to like be able to recognize and define their emotions and like where they're sitting in life. Because sometimes it feels like it can be like a lonely journey. And I want people to know that they have support with us and listening to us and watching us, but also like within their own circle. And if they recognize something that they feel like they need help, that they seek it and get the support that they need. So I feel like that's important.
No, I think that's super important because I know, and again, we're not doctors, we're not experts on anything, but there is parts as you like finish reading your article about 5 stages where they're like, yes, you might be depressed, but if you're depressed or like bargaining to the point or like any of the stages to the point where your life is truly being affected, then you should start recognizing that you do need help. So if it doesn't just feel like something that is never going to pass and your life is truly being affected, like don't forget to also look out for help or look for help from friends or family or
which brings me to your point, like when you were saying like what you want our viewers to get out of this and you're like for their friends, and I actually have a quote, so I did care about their friends. So Untangle Grief on Instagram, who we follow, and I really love that page.
Great quotes,
really great quotes for grieving. They had posted something that said, keep checking on your grieving friends. Yes, even years later.
Yes.
So I think that was so important. I was like, oh, that's so true. And I love like when my dad's birthday comes up, like people remember and they might send a heart, or even if it's not the exact date, that people like just check in or like always ask me like, how's your mom doing? I'm like, oh, that's so thoughtful. Like, she is doing okay. Like, thanks for asking about her. So
no, especially because I know anniversaries and birthdays are so important to us and we feel it's so hard. So those little check-ins really do pay off no matter what.
Absolutely. Today's episode is dedicated to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who pioneered the theory of the 5 stages of grief. Again, we're your Bereavement Babes, Leah and Rachel, and we'll see you on the other side.